Good day. This is Jeremy with Prop Traders with the June 3rd market report. I didn't do a pre-market meeting this morning just because really you shouldn't have been probably trading till about midday today, because as you can see, there's a lot of volatility, especially in the oil here. WTI is what we're looking at, July contract. As I mentioned, I think that yesterday the WTI would continue its downward trend. We had increased rig count today. Looking at the economic calendar, next week we're going to get on Wednesday, of course, every Wednesday we'll have oil inventories, and we'll see what happens there. Looking out to a larger time frame, looks like we're holding some support here around the 48.30, and this is also compared. I've contrasted or compared the WTI or oil contract with the SPX index. So S&P index here. As you can see, there's a bit of a correlation picking up between the two. So whenever oil goes down, then that kind of drags the S&P down a little bit. So looking at a larger time frame here, I believe we did break on a daily basis. Let's see here. Yeah, for WTI, I think we did kind of touch on the 15-day moving average briefly here today. Let's kind of zoom in on that. So we did get a touch below, so this is going to be support in the short term, but stochastics do tell us that we are getting a pretty telltale sign that that we might be heading lower here. We are getting lower highs here. Bodies of the candle are moving lower here. So it's all going to depend on what happens. I think we're going to get some chop here in this range for the next couple of weeks, and once we see inventories draw down, I think there was a larger drawdown than expected in the last inventory yesterday, and that kind of pulled the market up a little bit yesterday. But again, they digested that, and we're not breaking that high today. So we'll go ahead and look at the ES. So the S&P E-mini futures here. So again, we had a large down move today. We were just going to kind of have, in my opinion, digestion probably in this range, maybe slightly lower to, maybe around 2063 here until the Fed meeting. And we had the employment report today, which the U.S. non-farm payrolls indicated, pretty good job growth. That kind of gives the Fed the green light to go ahead and start raising rates again. A lot of people don't think it's going to happen. Janet Yellen's going to speak Monday, and we'll see what happens there. So looking at the market profile today, we'll look at a daily basis here, 5-minute chart. Value area high in the market profile had the S&P at 2099. So yeah, we kind of went up and touched that. That would have been a good place to short. You would have made some money there. And on a 5-minute chart, looks like we're kind of selling off here into the afternoon a little bit. We'll see if we can hold this. But we are getting, looks like a bit of a crossover here, possibly. And we're having a downward trend into the close here. So we have about 45 minutes to go. Again, my guess is we'll probably hold the 65-day moving average here, 2097 at least. And we'll probably just get chopped into the close here. I don't think anybody wants to do anything too significant before the weekend. Again, we do have Janet Yellen speaking Monday, and we'll see what happens there. As far as the value area low, we had On the market profile, we did have 2087 as a value area low. We'll see if that got breached. Yeah, it did get breached here slightly in the morning after the news. So we did have a sell-off to start, and then a strong move up here. So you can, it's really just a kind of battle between the bears and the bull here, and really choppy. Again, that can indicate that we're going to kind of stabilize and go higher here after maybe the Feds don't raise rates on June 15th, or if they do raise rates, that'll probably significant, kind of start another trend downward. So the good news is, we're going to get chop in intraday. That's good for intraday traders, as long as you, trade responsibly, trade small, because we got high volatility right now intraday. So you might be out of position, 1 minute and be just fine the next. But as long as you stay small enough, and if you're wrong, it's not that big of a deal. Even if you trade small, you can still get a big move and make a lot of money that way. So look at the NQ here, and we'll see what's going on with that. I think gold had a significant move up today as well. We'll look at that. So the value area high in NQ was 45.23. Yeah, it didn't meet that. So we're kind of chomping around here. I think it was up in that range here this morning. So yeah, we were to open up here. We did open with a bounce higher, but a sell-off into the opening here for the first hour and a half or so. We got a bounce here at 44.82. Looking to see if that's any area significant. There was an area of support around 45.02. So really, it's probably just a long-term point of control. Yeah, not much to say. Again, we're just looking for a chop here probably, and possibly, as you can see, even though we had a bounce here, we're still not getting back up into the highs we had yesterday. And if we look at like a 5-day chart, something like that, 10-day chart, we are kind of digesting here in a tight range. But as we can see here, we're not we're not breaking past this high of yesterday. Again, that might happen when Janet Yellen speaks Monday. That might give everybody the green light to say, hey, we're not going to raise rates and everything's cool. So you will see what happens. But today I traded very little, just because I knew that I did some scalps just because I knew that there's going to be a lot of chop, and just scalped the NQ a little bit. Stayed away from oil until everything kind of shakes out with OPEC. I think they're still digesting the report, and we'll see what happens there. Again, thanks for your time. Look forward to speaking to you again Monday morning, and have a great weekend, everyone.